He's an accountant, perfectly placed to give us some great insight into this. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Dan Geltrude. Dan, thanks for being on. All right, an unexpected $27 billion budget surplus. What say you?
Surplus? That word and the federal government rarely go together, Scott. I can't even believe it. But there it is. So, are we turning the fiscal tide after years of rising deficits? Maybe, and let's hope so. But let's break down tariffs because obviously that's all everybody's been talking about for months and months and months. So tariffs make foreign countries contribute to U.S. revenue. Isn't that great? Because it's not the American taxpayer. However, the fear, the concern, the issue is the impact it has on inflation. Now, if Trump is able to pull this off, Scott, and it worked out perfectly, we would have more revenue coming in from someone else other than U.S. taxpayers. We keep inflation down, and maybe the biggest maybe of all, we could actually reduce some of our spending and get on the right fiscal path here.
It's not widely reported, though, Dan. I mean, I looked for it out there. There are some stories on it, but you're not hearing very much about it in the mainstream media. Is there a reason why?
Yeah, because it's a positive, Scott. Look, it's a long-term win for America, and unfortunately, there are people rooting against their own country simply because they dislike Trump. But the CBO, who's supposed to be independent, they're projecting a $2.8 trillion in tariffs coming into the coffers over the next 10 years. I mean, that's real money. So, what we're seeing here is that Trump's tariff policy is now a major revenue generator. So this is really good news. Again, the asterisk here, Scott, is we have to be able to control inflation. If we can do that, it's a win.
Well, we're going to get a little bit of a read in that tomorrow, right, with CPI. But to your point, though, as a trader, and I like to highlight this, if you go from a deficit to a surplus, that's a double whammy to the good, right? No longer are you not, the deficit's now wiped out, which is good, but then you also have the surplus, which is even better. And that's pretty important. So it's not just as though you're taking away the deficit, you're actually adding to the coffers with a surplus. And, isn't it funny how, well, it's not funny, it's irritating, but it's like the places like the CBO and the likes that really want to take a look at a 10-year view at stuff like this, they somehow always underestimate the good or what could possibly actually go right and work.
Yeah, well, that's just all part of the game, right? And that's why when you look at these numbers, Scott, we always have to look at it with some skepticism because we really don't know what's going in and how these calculations are being done. I mean, how many times do we see adjustments, for example, to the job numbers?
Yep.
Why is that always happening? We can't get it right at least once in a while. But, the bigger picture here, Scott, in terms of what Trump is trying to do is he has said that these persistent trade deficits, they're a national security threat. Because what's happening is we are being taken advantage of by all these countries around the world. And all these things are leading to a greater national debt, which, by the way, is how we won the Cold War, right? We basically bankrupted the Soviet Union. And will history repeat itself only against us?
Right. And I mean, obviously, the two big ones we could talk about there are drugs and rare earths, right? Those are two huge things that really affect us on a day-to-day basis. But what I also like, especially now that we can say that there's a surplus, Dan, is the fact that we have a reason for tariffs. It's not that he just wants to punish people. I mean, when we can't sell our cars into Japan, but we take their cars for sale here. I mean, basic stuff like that. But it never gets talked about how unfair things are. I mean, look, I lived in England for 16 years. You should see what they tack onto American products if I wanted to buy them in London. And so when you hear people that get angry or don't understand what the tariffs are doing or how they're doing, all they're asking for is it to go back to the way it was. And that status quo was a status of basically we're getting ripped off all the time.
Well, you're exactly right. And if you really break down what Trump is truly trying to do is he's trying to get a level playing field. And he has said that all along. Listen, whatever you tariff us, we'll tariff you. You want to knock down your tariffs? We'll do the same. How about this? No tariffs. That's
right.
okay, too.
Right.
It's just got to be level.
And I think that, everybody forgets the fact that on April 8th, I know the mainstream media said he was trying to destroy humanity with these tariffs and he was going to wipe out the markets, right? And our economy was going to be no more. But in the end, he just wants it to be reciprocal. Now, he might start off with something high, and I think anything over 35% when he floats that the first time, 35 to 135, that's just him starting the bargaining. And it's going to come down because 100, 150, 50, doesn't matter. They're all ridiculous. But that's his opening salvo to get people to the table. Let's get this thing done. And you know what? I don't understand. I mean, yes, I do. They're protectionists, right? They don't want to pay higher prices. They want to keep their French wine. They want, making this money. I understand why everybody's got these tariffs. But at the end of the day, it just needs to be fair. And you know what? The U.S. is a pretty big marketplace, if not the biggest in the world. And if you want to partake, you got to be fair.
You do have to be fair. And one more thing that Trump is doing here with these tariffs is that Trump is not a guy who wants our country to go to war anywhere, anytime, unless it's absolutely necessary. So look at what he's talking about right now with Putin. He's talking about tariffs if Russia doesn't cut it out with the war with Ukraine.
Right.
So he's understanding that you can use U.S. economic power in a lot of different ways.
And it's going to be. He's just getting started. It's a long road, and it's going to be still very, very difficult. And he's not getting help from a lot of folks here, even in his own country, right? And I just want to highlight to everybody that listens, whether you like him or not, a lot of the changes he's trying to implement today, they're really not going to come to fruition until he's out of office. I mean, it's going to take some time. So he's being selfless in the fact that he's not going to get credit for a lot of the stuff that he's trying to implement today, because by the time it actually gets done and comes through at the end of the day, he's not going to be in power. He's not going to be the president anymore. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. But so far, it looks as though we're starting to see some brighter things that we didn't see April the 8th when all the pros out there got rid of all their stocks and sold them on the lows. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much, Dan. Dan Geltrude coming to us from Nutley, New Jersey. Love having you start off the week with us here. Always strong. Dan, thanks for coming on. All right.